Hi, we are Team 11 for ASC poster presentation. My name is Drashti.
My name is Ashi.
And I am Sahil Soni.
So here we are there to present our theme. I am not a programmer, I am an engineer.
So for the purpose of this podcast, we have interviewed Mr. Devarshi. He is a Toronto-based software engineer at Thomson Reuters. And we have asked him his insights and his experience.
So hi, I am Devarshi Pandya, and I'm currently a software engineer at Thomson Reuters in Toronto. And before this, I was a software developer at the Canada Revenue Agency for a year.
So we have asked him a couple of questions. Some of them are like, what are the difference between a programmer and engineer with respect to the different keys like skills, responsibilities, roles, and approach? So first we will discuss these questions among ourselves, and then we will give his insights, what he told us. So Drashti, do you want to say anything about this question?
Yes. So the roles and responsibilities of software engineer is this towards the entire project. He is responsible for starting the project from scratch and leading it and deploying it, and after that later the management things are also included in his profile. So he is responsible for dealing with the clients, understanding his requirements, after that deciding a good technology which will be favorable to the software, deciding the developers team who will be responsible for the development work. All these decisions are taken by software engineer, while the role of a software developer is kind of an independent base. He only looks after the functionality of the project. For example, he is given a core task of making any module of a project. So what he will do, he will only focus on his task, while a software engineer is responsible for collaborating with entire team.
Yeah.
And I would say I am an engineer. There's a big difference between programmer and engineer, and maybe that varies across different companies and across different people. So these are just my personal thoughts around it. And I would say I'm an engineer and not a programmer because of the way my responsibilities are. If you're a programmer, your core responsibilities would always be just coding. And when you code, like one thing that I believe, and this is useful to you guys as well, as you are students and you will soon enter the industry, and probably freshers as well, right? Like you wouldn't have much of a work experience back in India. So if given a problem, anyone can code. You can go to the Stack Overflow and find anything that you want. And just coding is nothing but like, yeah, there are some algorithms there, or there's you can write very good maintainable code. When I say maintainable code, that means that the code is scalable. You write a code in a way that someone else after 2 years would be able to make changes to that code or write a new feature around it very easily without making a lot of changes. That's where the skill lies. So that is one place that yeah, so these are the responsibilities of a programmer. Now when I say an engineer, it means that it's not just writing code, but it's also designing stuff. And I'm fortunate enough that I got this opportunity at this level itself. So software engineer is basically like when you just enter the industry, you are associate software engineer, and software engineer is the next position, and then there's senior software engineer. So unless you are a senior or a lead engineer, you don't get the opportunities to design stuff. And I got that opportunity at Thomson Reuters. I would say at CRA, at Canada Revenue Agency, I was kind of a programmer, because what a programmer does, you give them the requirements, you tell them that, okay, this is what I want, and they just write code around it. So,
and adding to that, what I have learned from this course and what I have examined from industry is a developer is only a developer is the one who is assigned a particular task in a especially in a coding phase of a SDLC, and the engineer decides how to design, how to write a code, how the testing will happen, how different SDLC cycle. Different life cycle of SDL software development will work.
So Ashi, I would like to know from you that according to you, which phase of SDLC is the important phase?
Okay, so one of the most important phase is testing, according to me, because testing is very important because we cannot deliver the quality software to client or anyone without properly and being testified and check that whether the software is validating and verifying all the requirements and behaving as per the requirement specifications. So it is very important.
From my perspective, I would say first is requirements gathering. So this is something which is usually done by the product team. So there are two teams, like one is the engineering team and one is the product team. So product team or the product manager are the people who actually gather the requirements. And you can build good software only if you have good requirements. So uh, and first is requirements gathering, and then knowing whether it's feasible or not. So this is the part where I would say spending the most of the time. And even like if you start as a programmer, like when I used to write code, like writing the code doesn't take much time, but thinking how will I write this code takes more time.
So, if I talk about my experience in industry, like I have 1 year of experience in India, and I personally joined the industry as a developer only. I was based only on my code developing skills, and what I have experienced, what I have observed from the industry is most of the companies, uh, especially service-based companies, focus on the coding skills of a candidate. Like that is the main skills which companies focus on, and I was also selected on that basis only. And but what I feel is, so that's why I believe like freshers, most of the freshers join as a developer only rather than as an engineer. So yeah.
Do freshers or trainee enter the software industry as a programmer, or they can enter as an engineer as well, like
Uh,
based up?
this is a good question. So uh, I would say it depends entirely on the company that you're going to, and not just the company, but the team that you're going to. So if you ask me about an intern, then yes, I would say an intern enters the IT industry as a programmer, because they are not given much task. They don't have a much say in what they need to do. I was an intern as well. So I started as, so yeah, back in India, during my fourth year, I interned at Thomson Reuters, and that was a 6 months long internship. And I was a programmer there. Like I was given a problem. Okay, you need to create this Chrome extension, and there was some designing part to do, but still, everything that I did was writing code. There was nothing about infrastructure involved there. And then I was an intern at CRA when I completed my master's in Canada. And during that as well, all I did was I got the requirements and I wrote code. But uh, at Thomson Reuters, I can say that I'm still a fresher, right? Because I entered Thomson Reuters as a fresher because I don't think 1 year experience is a lot. But the thing was the team that I work in, and it varies even in Thomson Reuters across teams. So my team was pretty new. This was a new work that they were starting, and uh, right when I joined, we were gathering the requirements, we were building the system up like from scratch, and that is why that was the reason why I got to work on such things, like on designing stuff. If you're starting out as a programmer, then first thing you need to do is learn to write good code. Everything can be done in 100 different ways. So uh, secondly, you would be fortunate enough if you are in a team where you have good lead engineers in the team. So if you have someone who has 15 or 20 years of experience, they would be there to pinpoint your mistakes in your code. Like you'll realize this when you are in the industry, that the first uh, pull request that you raise, your first pull request in the company, and that would have like 60 to 70 comments on it. And that's because you don't know, and it's okay to have this. It's very much natural to have this, and this is because we don't know the best practices that are there. So first thing is writing good code. So writing good code involves the low level design that we call LLD. Low level design is nothing but at the code level, what is the type of design. So there are different design patterns that you use and everything. So how to write a scalable and maintainable software. So that's what you learn first. And then the second set of skills that you need to develop is system design, which involves the high level design.